Quick thing before we get started. If you disappeared from your agency for 30 days, no calls, no emails, no Slack, would it survive? Would it thrive? Would it decline? If you hesitated, I get it. I spent 12 years building my agency, and for the most part of that, I was actually the ceiling. Every decision, every client, every fire, all me. I wrote a book about what actually needed to change. It's called Operator to Owner, and it lays out the 5 identity shifts every founder has to make to stop being that bottleneck. So go to operatortoownerevolution.com. That's operatortoownerevolution.com and grab your copy. Hey, Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jason, thanks for having me. Stoked to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. So finally got you on. So tell us who you are, what you do.
Yeah, I'm Tim Bouchard, owner and CEO of Luminus, a healthcare marketing agency in Buffalo, New York. And we help small to medium-sized independent practices build up their patient pipelines and build trust with potential patients and grow, of course, after that.
Amazing elevator pitch. I love it.
Thanks.
I know exactly
I've been working on it the last couple of years. Yeah.
Some people just get on and ramble forever. I'm like, all right, man, like we got to wrap that up. Like we got to get into the content.
I might ramble. We'll save it for the conversation.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to have you on finally. Like you were telling me a little while ago, like you have an email back from 2015 from me. And I think I reached out to you in 2019 to be on the show. And it took this long to get the great Tim on the show.
Oh yeah. The great Tim. Let's not build it up too much. Yeah. 2019. I remember that email. You were like, and it's part of your funnel process too. I get it. We're marketers. But I was like, man, this sounds really cool. But I was 9 years into having the agency at that point, still with my partner. And I was like, I just don't know if I have enough to offer this. But, time, I don't know, heals all. It's not even a wound. Time reveals all, I guess. And I've definitely experienced some stuff that I think is more valuable to share now.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. Well, how did you get started in the agency world?
A little similar to you. I used to build websites. I'm a web guy. I went to college for digital design, web design. I wanted to be a 3D animator, but I kind of just, I guess, went boring and went in the web world instead. And now AI might take over both of those things. Let's see what happens. But so I started working with someone, building websites for them under like a little tiny, 2-man shop. And met my former partner who was freelancing with that person. He was in the art and design side. I was on the digital and web side, and kind of just worked out that he had some side projects for me. And it ended up kind of being one of those things where we joined forces in 2009 and officially formed the agency in 2010.
Okay. And so obviously you bought your partner out. What a lot of people, including myself, when I started my agency, I started by myself, and I started very young. Didn't know what an invoice was, didn't know half of what you probably need to start. So ignorance was probably very lucky for me. And we think we need to join with someone else to kind of fill the gaps of where we're weak. Did you feel that same way when you guys joined force?
I did. He had already been freelancing for a year or two, so it just worked out kind of well that he had already started building some local relationships. But I like to think I'm an artist. I've loved art since I was a kid, but I really excelled at the digital side and just had an eye for the design side. And there was just enough, congruency between brand design and web that putting the two together just really made sense to be able to pull people into a full, at that time, heavily creative shop. We primarily just did branding websites. This was 2008, 2009, before digital marketing really started to peak in the 2010s.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I still love designing websites to this day with AI.
I do too. Even in builders, we build in WordPress, but there's a number of builders we've been in, and even that's still fun.
I mean, it's just, and like when people go, oh, the web agency is dead. I'm like, no, there's not, because there's always going to be a director of the AI. We're just going to be more efficient. We were able to do way more. like what I've been able to do with some of these sites, like I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like it would have took my programmer like weeks to program some of the animations that you can do in just plain HTML.
Yeah, concepting or just like brainstorming in AI is definitely accelerating the early stages of a process. And even like the content and planning stage, you can do sitemap work in AI really easily. It's not like you necessarily have to take the human out of some of the really nitty gritty stuff, but it definitely speeds up some of the housekeeping steps, if
Yeah.
you will, in the process. But yeah, I still love web design. I catch
Yeah.
myself doing it all the time.
I mean, literally like the past couple of weeks, I was building out a couple sites and this week I didn't have any sites to build. I was kind of a little depressed, honestly, if I'm
Yeah.
being honest. I'm like, I had a good time. Like I was like, this was fun. Like, I didn't have to worry about like checking my code for syntax errors that I was always stupid colon and those quotation marks. I'm like, no.
So the thrill of the hunt for the bug fix.
Oh yeah, it's definitely, it took out all the stuff I hated and made all the stuff I liked, because I liked sitting over I didn't have the capability on a technical realm to design the stuff that my designers did, but I was able to foresee the things I wanted to do, and so I could communicate that to them. And now I can do that with AI, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to have the same relationship between AI design and planning and execution as you do between even what we've done the last 10 to 15 years between designers and developers. A designer can't design something that a developer can't do. And developers are resourceful people though. So is AI. But yeah, I love that that's where my roots are, and I still have a passion for that side of the business.
Well, and the thing too is look, just like you said, all our roles are shifting a little bit, but they're always going to be this director. And like I was telling you guys, at Elevate, you just need to be one step ahead of your clients. That's really it, if you think about it. And you just need to kind of start getting your hands dirty and smelling this AI, and you can kind of figure it out and be like, all right, cool. This is how we evolve and get forward. Now you've done a bit of evolving over the years that I want to get into of what brought you to the point to really kind of sit down with your partner and say, maybe this is not right for you, or have them say, hey, maybe I don't want to do this. Like, because a lot of people, including myself, I didn't have the courage to buy out my partner. I didn't have the courage to talk to him at the time of going, I don't think this is right for you anymore.
Yeah. I'm in year 16 of the agency now, right? We freelanced together in 2009 for a year, made sure we liked working together, formed the LLC in 2010. 2014, 15, we started introducing employees and marketing processes and things. So he and I started to get kind of like stretched a little bit. We didn't come from the marketing background. We came from the design and development background, but we understood marketing because we liked talking about people's businesses. We understood their outcomes and goals, and we're quick learners. So we hired for marketing and the next 5 years between 2015 and 2020, we got deeper into marketing, stronger relationships, retainers versus projects, all those good things. But we hit a bit of a plateau because we were stuck. We didn't have SOPs. We were doing a little bit of everything for everyone. And we loved working with different businesses, but you have to learn each business and their industry when they come on. And we started having conversations in late 2019, early 2020. And the pandemic kind of accelerated this because we really started looking at the business from a performance standpoint. And, outside influences or inside thought processes, we just started running around like, what's your vision for where the agency can go, beyond the COVID stuff that we all had to deal with, since we're thinking about it now. And he had one thing that he brought to the table and I had one, and they were different. And then on top of that, I really think after 10 years or so, you start to realize if you want to be a business owner or a creative leader or a marketing leader. And sometimes the business owner side of this masochistic type of role that we have as agency owners wears on someone, and you lose the joy for the things that you actually like doing. I gravitate towards the business side of agency life, even the stresses of it, which isn't always great, but
There's stresses in this business.
yeah.
Like, what
Well,
do you see?
I always tell people it feels a lot like development. In development, you're using databases, tables, and connecting things to make them work. And in business and agency world, you have people and processes, and you connect them to work. On the creative side, like art and that type, it's a little harder to make that mental leap from that application to business application. So between the differing visions that we had, and maybe even differing visions of our own personal lives for the next 10 years, he asked to be bought out. And you know what? That takes a lot of courage to do. I don't know what the plan was after that. And it happened quick.
Yeah. So when your partner goes, I want you to buy me out, that's got to be kind of like were you more relieved or more fearful? Be like, holy cow, I need to do this on my own. How am I going to come up with, how do I pay him? Like,
that's a good question. Yeah, you go into fire drill mode. I also had, my wife and I had our first child 2 months prior to that.
Oh, wonderful. And
so
did water go in your basement and flood that while this was happening too?
No. Thankfully, we had COVID happen. 3 months after COVID happened, we had our first child in the family. 2 months after that, we had the buyout conversation, and the buyout happened by December 1st that year.
Dude, that's stressful. Just even having a baby during COVID. I mean, you'd be like, holy cow. Like, I remember driving across the country because we moved during COVID. And do you remember like wiping down packages, like wiping down the gas pumps? We're like, are we going to die? Like if we touch this?
Yeah. Dude, in New York, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to be in the delivery room. It was just a very odd time. So stack on top of that, this like really vulnerable and real conversation that my partner and I had, which is fine. We did it together. And it was not an aggressive thing. We worked together on it. It doesn't always go this way, but it was something that he really wanted. We used the same attorney. We came up with the valuation on our own. So this is not a standard process. And it happened quickly. I still had to do I had to find the attorney. I had to drive the conversation on the value, make sure that we both felt good about it. I had to find the paperwork and the SBA loan. And now this is the time when PPP loans were flying around. There's loans everywhere. But I still had to find the right relationship for an SBA loan. That had to be processed quick because of the speed of the buyout. It was a hectic 4 months.
You still got your hair.
Q4. Yeah. It was crazy. Crazy. And as fast as that happened, there was a bit of relief because I did have a vision for where I wanted the agency to go. But then once I realized that I had control over the vision, I was relieved, and then immediately like, oh, okay, where do I start?
And where did you start? Because I mean, when you're going through that, like I got a client emailed me last night, this long email, and you know me very well. If you send me something very long, like my spidey senses are like, I can't concentrate, right? Like, and he wanted to focus on like 18 things. And I was like, this is not a list. Like, this is a distraction list. And I think a lot of us, we think of all the things we need to do. So now you're doing it all your own. There's all these things you do. How did you prioritize and going, I need to focus on this and this, like just one or two things?
Yeah. So my mind immediately went to, what can I do to start enacting my vision? And about a week in, I realized I can't do that yet. I actually had to start with the transition work first. Okay. Think about what happens. A partner leaves under good terms. You have existing client relationships that you have to make sure are still comfortable with the partner leaving, especially if that partner was very involved in production work still, right? So you have relationship, work quality questions that happen. I had to do the transitional period first. And not to throw something else on the fire of this conversation, we had a Black Widow client that was about 38% of our billables every month. And that was very important to make sure that was something that transitioned okay too. And then after that, even 2 months after that transition period, then it's I have to look at the functionality of the agency to make sure that the finances are still good, the people that are here are still appropriate, and all of those. And then after that, I can start to enact the vision. And what I didn't realize was it would take me longer to get to the thing I wanted to get to, just because of the call it fallout, maybe is probably the best word I can come up with for the post buyout housekeeping that has to get done.
Well, it's smart to go about that way. Of you got to kind of take care of you're planning for the long term, but sometimes in the short term you got to kind of eat the shit in order to get through, and probably added a lot more hours, probably a significant amount of hours to now you're doing kind of two people's jobs, or maybe even
and I had to hire in. Yeah, I had to, there was production involved in that role. I had to promote from within and hire to start to fill the gaps of where that production was. So think of hiring at the beginning of 2021. It's still COVID, weird business. No, sales is just depressed for everyone. I did have that revenue to reinvest into people that I wasn't using on a partner anymore, but I also had the loan on the side that I had to pay for too. So it was just a lot to think about in the first 8 weeks.
Man, I feel the weight on your shoulders. Just like I got to pay all these people. I got to pay this loan, and then I get paid last.
The loan's paid off now. We're 5 years later now, 5.5 years later, right? So 2021 to 2026. Loans paid off. What I didn't realize, and you probably get this all the time or understand it working with people like me, we're very type A. We're very impatient. You can't relate to that at all, can you?
No, there's no reason why my team made me get a turtle tattoo. I mean, there's no reason.
Yeah, I thought, once the paperwork was signed and the SBA money went out, as the buyout, I thought I'm going to have this thing turned around in like 3 months. It's going to be exactly what I wanted to. It's going to feel like mine. I'm going to see the runway. And I will honestly say I didn't feel that way until maybe 2.5 years later.
Did you think it was a wrong mistake? You ever think like I made a mistake?
I don't know if I ever thought that the buyout was a mistake. I still have good people. I have people, my team right now has been with me since before the buyout. It's smaller now. The 2 years, a year and a half after the buyout, the Black Widow left. The team at that point, I didn't realize wasn't built right for the types of clients we had. They were technically built for the Black Widow and servicing the other clients as, it was almost overpowered. We had 2 people in accounts. We're less than $1 million agency. It was a little weird. So I had a lot of feeling out to do in the first 2 years. And around that 2.5 year mark is when I started to say, I think I'm comfortable now with the team. Our SOPs have started to be building up. And then I said, now it's time to apply this to what we like doing best. And that's when we really dug into the healthcare niche, which opened up so many doors for us.
Yeah. Did you have reservations about narrowing down to a niche?
Yeah. Because you're always, the first instinct is always, if you reduce my opportunity, then I'm going to reduce my possibility for success. But the niche topic is, discussed ad nauseum in these types of podcasts, but it's true. It's just, it opens up other things. So what does it open up? The ability to do useful and purposeful content, actually dial in a sales process, not have to relearn an industry 50 times in a year because you're working with all sorts of different clients. But what it really did was it opened us up to be able to sell nationwide instead of just hoping for the local referrals from our clients to keep coming in.
Yeah. Be like, come on, Buffalo, keep giving me business.
Yeah. And we've been around a long time, so we still get those, and we don't turn away business if it's not healthcare, but it's someone that believes in our process or believes in us as a team. But outward facing, when we're hunting, what we're developing our expertise on is now topically based in healthcare, which makes it easier to understand people's pain points, understand the audience better, understand common needs that clients need and how to measure them. It comes much easier when you have that dialed in. And it's really made it very comfortable, more comfortable for me to do sales now. Because before it was like, what is the message? We like branding. Don't forget branding. Don't market before you brand. Like, that's not a sales message.
Yeah.
But I could go into healthcare and I could talk to unknowing small clients and say like, hey, I might be able to help you with compliance up front. Is that something you'd be interested in? There's other things we do, but this is something that we care a lot about and might help you out. Well, that means something to them, and we get them. So it works better.
Hi there, agency owners. Let me ask you, are you ready to scale your agency without increasing your overhead costs? If yes, then you need to know about E2M Solutions. Now, E2M is the #1 most reliable white label partner for agencies. They specialize in web design, WordPress development, e-commerce, SEO, and content writing. They basically do all the heavy lifting, which frees you up to focus on growing your agency. Now, here's the best part. E2M is just not another vendor. With over 10 years of experience, their team of over 300 experts has a track record of delivering for more than 300 agencies. They're your strategic partner. They deliver on time every time, so you can focus on what you do best. Now, E2M's mission is simple: to help 500 agencies increase their revenue and profit margins with white label services that actually work. And to help you get started, they're offering a special deal, 10% off for the first 3 months, but act fast because it's only a limited time offer. So head over to e2msolutions.com/smartagency to check out their transparent and their flexible pricing. Trust me, if you're ready to grow without burning out, E2M is the partner you've been looking for. That's e2msolutions.com/smartagency. Go check them out and tell them Jason Swank sent you. How did, I want to go back a little bit. How did you communicate to your team and keep all your team there when you were buying out your partner? Because that could be a big distraction, unless maybe some of your team already realized, be like, well, that person was really kind of lost and not really there. Like, how did you communicate, and how'd they take that? Because I think that's one area that people kind of question when they're going through, like, if I buy my partner out, what will happen to my team? Like, if I buy them out and then my whole team leaves, I don't have a company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was smoother than I think you'd expect the answer to be. There was communication from both of us before the buyout that this was amicable and a life decision, and we brought it to the team together. So that helped. It wasn't like coming out of left field and there's something wrong. So immediately everyone was at ease. It wasn't a decision made based off of like clients leaving or anything. It wasn't even a COVID-based decision. It was just a lifestyle decision made by my partner. So that introduced the topic well. What happened after that was the team didn't really change for the first year. I actually hired into it. Remember, when he left, I had to replace some of those positions. So the team grew. It was invigorating. It added new life. What I didn't realize at the time was I was further staffing for the Black Widow client, and that wasn't realized until later on. So I'd say we actually had more serious conversations when the agency we had built wasn't quite built right for the clients that we were best servicing. We were built to service the Black Widow. And I'd say about 2022 is when we had more real conversations about what's it look like when we lose 38% of our revenue. Usually teams involved in that. But what it came down to is that I have 4 core people with me that have been with me 8+ years. And a lot of the newer positions and accounts-based positions got pulled out when the Black Widow left. So I have a stable leadership group, and I'm fortunate for that. Not everyone can say that. So they're paid well now, and that helps too.
Yeah. How have you evolved them, right? Like, you know, a lot of what I talk about on the podcast is, you know, people think these 5 identity shifts, right, that founders go through are just for the founders, but they're really for anybody on your team, anybody in business, going from like, taking that operator, making them a manager or making them an architect or whatever it is. How have you evolved them in their role?
Yeah, we do a lot of transparency in this agency. My core team has been exposed to quarterly financials, profit-driven profit shares at the end of the year. So I'm always updating them on net profit throughout the year, client relationship statuses, all of those things. So just from a stability and growth standpoint, they feel very invested in the success of us as a group together. Now, developing them professionally, I've made the investments in things like executive coaching, membership and network groups. I am not shy about paying for new technologies that people want to put together. And when it came to our SOPs and a lot of our things like reporting documents or technology stacks, I invite the team in to build those. And I'm sort of there as a bit of a guide and quality control metric. So they're owning a lot of our SOPs and our tech stacks and our software choices are team-based. So they have to learn it, bring it to the table, own the process, and then I help say, oh, well, let's touch up something here and touch up something there. But this was yours. I just help kind of like shine it up at the end. And I think having people own those things is the way to get them to buy in further. So I'm financially transparent with them. Vision is transparent with them, and they own a lot of their own processes.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the analogy I always tell everybody is you can give fish to your team or you can teach them how to fish.
Right.
And
exactly.
When you teach them how to fish, they become that leader, for the team under them and so on. And it keeps compounding faster than you think. And it takes off a lot of pressure from the person in your role, because then you don't have to make all the decisions. You're only making the really big decisions for where the ship is steering.
Yeah, and that ship does not turn quickly. We are not talking speedboats here. We're talking like that barge that got caught in that one canal 2 years ago that like was stuck for 60 days. That's what we're talking about with turning agency stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe I felt like I finally accomplished the foundation for the scalability of this agency after 3 or 4 years after the buyout, going through all those phases of that turn.
Well, it's exciting to see you grow and the agency grow. So congrats on all of that. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the listeners listening in?
I mean, I really would just reiterate the idea that agency owners are a special breed. We're all competent at lots of the things we can do in our agencies, and we can also learn them fast, and we're very good at what we do. We can do them fast, but the people we hire are not us. And sometimes I think we have an expectation that if we just piece off a part of ourselves, that piece will be just as expert, just as fast. And it's just not the reality of it. I think, I can't remember if it was, Michelle from our group or someone that said, if you asked a client, how is the work going? And they say it's exceptional, but you think it's only 85% of your standard. Guess what? Your opinion doesn't matter. The client's opinion matters. And I'm not advocating for doing work that isn't great, but sometimes our internal perceptions of where we need to be financially, work quality, whatever it might be, are just a little bit high and a little bit impatient. And if you can reduce a little bit of stress if you pull back on that and understand that you're putting in a lot of work and things take time.
Yeah, I think that's the curse of being the founder or the owner, because I know with me, I'm always trying to learn something new all the time. And then I look back at what I did yesterday. I'm like, oh, that's crap. But
especially with the AI stuff, it changes,
right? Yeah,
every 6 hours.
Exactly. You're like, oh, that's so that's so last week.
Yeah.
And I want to redo it all.
Yeah.
And you want to redo it all, but for 99.99 of everybody else, they'd be like, this is awesome. But then like you're just aware of the capability now, like a week later, and you're like, oh man, we're switching everything. And that's why I think too, like with Darby and Stacy and Jody and all our team, it's like you have to, I feel like I'm the gas pedal and they're the brake, and you have to have both to get up the road, because I just fly off the road.
and you can't dictate that either. Just going back to the team driven, part of this, if you dictate and do everything and just hand it down and force it on everyone, you can drag them along, but it might not be successful and it might not stick.
Yeah, you're just you're the manager, right? Like, it's like we hired people to take away some, like give us back some of our time, but you haven't set up any systems and you hired the wrong people. So now you're doing their job, your job, and managing them. And you're working even more versus thinking about like, how do I become that architect and really kind of design those systems that you were talking about to make your team better, where they can actually make decisions and not come to you to kind of free you up to do the stuff that only you can do at that moment. And you just keep evolving, right?
I'll say this too on the AI note and systems and processes. I am a web designer. I'm a business owner. I do not want to build an SOP. That's the last thing I'm not big enough to I don't have an operations manager. Yeah. But what I will say is I can record a 1 hour Loom or Zoom video and feed it into Claude or Chat and say, hey, I want to build a spreadsheet based or a text checkbox based SOP off of this process I'm describing in this transcript. Guess what? Now you just had to spend a half hour, feed it in, and get something back that's formatted that you only have to edit. Man, it like changed everything. We went from being a loosely known SOP type of thing to here's a checkbox based spreadsheet with just the right amount of notes in it, not too overbearing, just to make sure we have some consistency. That's a big deal because everyone hates building SOPs, but we all need them.
Well, exactly. And there's no excuse now. And I think that's one of the issues we'll wrap up the show with is there's so many different options for us to do, kind of like that client email, right? 18 things on his priority list. We just need to figure out what's the biggest bottleneck and just start there. Like literally, and like if you all are trying to figure out how to use AI or new technology, whatever new technology is coming out, figure out what your biggest bottleneck is for you. Figure out and help your team figure out just your one level down what's their biggest bottleneck, and then implement technology to help you with that. You'll be light years ahead of everybody else because everyone else has those 18 priority lists that they'll never finish because it will never be
think
perfect.
About the team is apprehensive about AI, right? We're creative, we're producers, we're executors. A nice little half step is, well, can the AI help you make your process faster?
Yeah.
Building the SOP is something that could make your quality control better or just your mental like QA internally better. Yeah. And if they get used to that, then maybe they'll be more open to integrating into like concepting or something like that. But it's a nice half step to that technology adaptation.
Awesome. Well, Tim, thanks so much for coming on the show, and everyone listening. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, subscribe, give us a review. That'll help us reach more people. If you've been listening to the show for a couple of years, I'd appreciate it. And thank you all for listening. And until next time, have a swank day.